Once in the city of Abuja lived a man and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Chikere. Mr. Chikere is a trader that deals in building materials, while Mrs. Chikere is a caterer that had a restaurant. They have a beautiful daughter named Adama and a son known as Chidi. Mr. and Mrs. Chikere were average Nigerian parents who had just enough to get by. Mr. Chikere provided as much as he had for his family, while his wife, Ajoo.So, supported him. Adama and Chidi attended an average school and did very well in their studies. Adama grew up to be a stunning and beautiful brown-skinned girl. She loved school and studies very hard, believing that one day she could be a medical doctor. Chidi, on the other hand, worked hard with his studies and wanted to be a civil engineer. Mr. and Mrs. Chikere's family was a family knitted in love and hoped for a bright future. Every day in school, while others made some noise, Adama will always be on her chair, reading her books. Every of her teacher loved her because of her hard work and intelligence. During the examinations, Adama always passed her subjects. Many of her classmates wanted to be like her. At the end of every term, Adama always goes home with gifts as both the first position and the best behave. Her parents were very proud of her. Her mother too will encourage her to keep up being the best. One day, one of her classmates, Ajoo, came to Adama's desk after school. Ajoo really talked to Adama. She was the hottest girl in the school. She seems to be a happy-lucky girl, the only girl whose boyfriend is rich and rides a luxurious car. Serious students, take it easy, Ajoo greeted. Adama nodded quietly as she continued with her studies. It's so disheartening when people don't know what they have. Adama's eyes widened in surprise. Who? Who does not know what they have? She asked. Is there any other person in this class? You, of course. Adama was surprised, but curious. How? How do you mean? Do you know that I have this iPhone, this earpod, this bank account, all belongs to me because I know exactly how to use what I have to get what I want. You think you are smart because you are always the best in class. But on the other hand, I see you as ignorant. Ajoo opened her phone and further showed Adama. Check out my account balance. As Adama looked at it, she gasped, her eyes widening in surprise, her mouth wide open in shock. Where did you get so much money from? She asked. Shine your eyes, Adama. You are here to enjoy, not to suffer. You don't notice how expensive my shoes are, the kind of perfume I wear, and the luxury car I come to school with. That's it for today. Mr. Man is here to pick me up, Ajoo said as she walked majestically into the car. Adama was still on her chair, her mouth wide open as she went into the luxurious car, waiting for her outside the school compound. It's true, Ada thought, as she heard the smooth sound of the engine of the car outside the school gate. Adama could hardly sleep that night. She thought of Ajoo. No wonder. She's always exempted from punishment. Last term, the rumor of Ajoo giving her teachers money to pass her exams spread like wildfire. But she debunked it as a lie. It's true. No wonder she does not even seem to be interested in any lessons. But yet, she always passed. Always among the top 5. She seemed to make the best hairstyle in school. Her school bags and shoes are designers worth hundreds of thousands of naira. Adama dissected all that had happened with Ajoo, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. As Adama wondered with many thoughts of Ajoo, she could not sleep. She finally slept late that night. The next morning, she was early to school. She stood at a corner as Ajoo arrived school in a luxurious Benz car. Her boyfriend kissed her inside the car before she stepped out. Adama felt the way she had never felt before. This is good life, she thought. During break, Ajoo brought some snacks and came to sit next to Adama at the school cafeteria. Bookworm, she teased. Adama, open your eyes. You are so beautiful that young men will fall over to get you. I can introduce you to a handful of them. Then you can make your choice. They will give you everything you like. Everything I'm wearing, including my iPhone, is over 2 million naira. Adama held her mouth, her heart pounding uncontrollably. You mean you have seen 2 million naira? No, I mean you are wearing more than 2 million naira. You are beautiful, but your problem is that you don't know what you have. Adama's parents are average people They have never used an iPhone. She does not even know how to operate an Android. Her mother had promised to buy her an Android phone after her high school graduation. It will take a year, and who knows if her mother will come up with another excuse. Adamma thought about Ajoo's proposal for weeks. She could not concentrate on her studies anymore. After thinking of Ajoo's proposal for 3 weeks, Adamma finally decided to give it a trial. I will cope, she promised herself as she made up her mind. In 3 weeks' time, she made her intention known to Ajoo. Ajoo was so happy. Welcome to the 5 Girls Club, she announced. Enjoy the benefits of being a girl and don't ever go back to being ignorant again. Over the weekend, Adama was introduced to Kachi. Kachi was a big boy. He rides on Mercedes Jeep and is well known amongst his circle of friends. The first outing Adama attended was beyond anything she could imagine. The big boys were all over Adama. She felt so important. All the big boys were all over her. Some dashed her money, but one in particular bought for her an Android phone, an iPhone, and took her out to buy designer wares. Adama arrived school on Monday feeling different. She thanked Ajoo, who was now her best friend, for showing her the way. She kept all the things Kachi bought for her at Ajoo's place, going over her house to put them on or use her phone whenever she needed it. She knew her parents would question the source of her new phone and designer wares. She therefore decided to keep it a secret. Kachi persuaded Adama to come over his house during the weekend. But my mother will be angry at me. Kachi talked tenderly to Adama, promising her heaven on earth. I will buy you a Mercedes Jeep, he promised. That fatal Friday night, when everyone had gone to sleep, she carried her small bag she had secretly prepared and sneaked out to Kachi's house. She was warmly welcomed at the living room as she enjoyed the cool music. At midnight, she was ushered into a room. As Adama entered the room, the light was so dim that she could hardly see. She set her bag and sat quietly on the bed. Few moments later, a group of men began to enter the room. They all wore red, tied some leaves on their heads. As they walked into the room, could it be that I'm dreaming? Adama wondered as she cleared her eyes with her hands and jumped out of the bed to go to the door, but there was no escape route for her. Adama was to be used by Kachi and his group of friends. Their group needed a sacrifice of a virgin. They tied her hands and feet, taking over a little earthen pot over her head as they chanted their music and made their incantations. They needed to fortify their powers. Adama fell into their trap as she left her studies and followed Ajoo's advice. Mr. and Mrs. Chikere were in school on Monday to report about their missing daughter. But she arrived home safely, the principal, Mr. Kayode, asserted. The police searched the whole city for Adama, but all was to no avail. The police then came back to Adama's parents. We have searched the whole city of Abuja, but we cannot see your daughter, Adama, the police said, handing over some of her pictures. But prior to her incidental friendship with Ajoo, Adama had some friends who had warned her about Ajoo. Ada, your friendship with Ajoo does not match at all. He is like bone out of joints, Ife had told her 2 days before her disappearance. But Ada's quest for affluence had gotten the major part of her. As the news of Ada's disappearance spread across the length and breadth of Bright Star Academy, her friend, Ifena, then decided to take matters into her own hands. She formed a small investigating team amongst her circle of friends, and they decided to get to the roots of what had happened to Adamma. First, Ifena and her group of 4 friends cornered Ajoo by the side during break. "Hey girl, stop there," they thundered. Ajoo first turned to look at them before letting out a cold laugh. "And what is the meaning of that, you riffraffs?" retorted Ajoo. "You think you have gone scot-free, but for your information, we have gathered enough evidence to land you in jail. This," they said, "is a screenshot of your discussion with your boyfriend. If you don't provide the information of where we can find Adamma this evening, you will be in the police custody by tomorrow morning," Ifena threatened. "And where did you get this from?" Ajoo screamed. "You are intruding into my privacy." Ajoo was quite surprised. Her 2 legs were shaking and her hands were trembling. "Okay, I will tell you all I know. Ajoo volunteered. I introduced Adama to one of my boyfriend's friend who needed a babe. They booked to meet at Kachi's house that fateful Friday night, only for me to come to school on Monday morning to hear that she's missing. So what effort have you made, being the one who introduced her to your so-called Kachi? Came Ifena's next question, her eyes flaring with anger. Ajoo was trembling and speechless. That evening, the girls decided to go with Ajoo and make the search by themselves. They were to be led by Ajoo. No one, not even her boyfriend, Chima, should know about their planned visit. That evening, the girls stormed Kachi's house with flashlights, sticks, hammers, and cutlass. But to their greatest disappointment, no one except the security man was around. He came outside, locking the gate quickly to answer them. Ifena, known for her sharp mind and resourcefulness, was the first to approach the house. She pretended to be a passerby who had lost her way to the shop along the street. "Good evening, sir," she greeted the security man, Okon. "Good evening," replied Okon as he smiled happily. Fine girl. How may I help you?" Mr. Okon asked. "Please, sir, I'm looking around the street for a shop where I can buy pure water," Ifena replied. Ifena then left, wandering around before she returned to the same gate again. The other girls hid beside the house, waiting for Ifunaya's signal. "Please, sir," Ifunaya said, pretending as though she would die the next minute from thirst. "Please, can you give me a cup of water? I'm very thirsty." That was the only strategy for the security man to open the gates for a longer time. He opened the gates and then went to fetch water from the tap. But as soon as he came back with the cup of water, the other girls approached him with their torchlights, cutlass, and hammer in their hands. They pushed Okon to the ground, overpowering him, and tied his hands and feet, locking him inside his tiny security room. They left to the house, searching everywhere as everyone called out Adamma's name, but there was no sign of her. Just as they were about to leave, they noticed a heap of clothes somewhere at the backyard. They moved closer, taking out the clothes one by one. They saw one of Adamma's outing clothes. Along with it were other clothes, which were girls' clothes. They shouted Adamma's name more vehemently, knocking on every door. Then suddenly, they heard a noise, a very faint noise, like the sound of a mouse. They moved closer to the door, where the noise was coming from. That is when they heard clearly. It was someone trying to talk, but it seems her mouths were tied. With their hammer, they broke the doors. It was a storage room filled with some broken woods and furniture. As they went further inside, flashing their torchlights, they found a leading trapdoor leading to another room. They opened the dark and damp room, and to their greatest amazement, as they flashed their torchlights, it was on Adamma's face. They found Adamma, tied hands, legs, and mouth, along with two other girls. They quickly untied them and led them outside. They quickly called the school authority and Adamma's parents. They in turn called the police. Just then, Kachi, oblivious of what had been going on, drove into his compound. As the smart Ifena quickly went to the back of the gate, opening the gate without letting him see who was there. After parking his car, Kachi came out of his car, shouting, "Okon! Okon!" But it was too late for him. The police were out from their hideouts and he was arrested. Adama and the other two girls were rushed to the hospital. The ritual takes 2 weeks, after which the victim will be sacrificed. We were 4 before, but one girl has been already used for sacrifice. Adama thought about how she would have lost her life, her dreams of becoming a medical doctor. She brought out her diary to write an appreciation note to her brave friends who organized and tracked her, searching for her endlessly until they found her. Dear viewers, what do you think of teenagers who usually digress from their dreams and aspiration and begin to chase after fantasy? Please share your takes with us on the comment section below and kindly subscribe as we load you with lots of amazing and educative tales on African Tales by Amanda.